Hi, welcome to another episode here, the team playbook. Here we got Michael, who is the founder and CEO of Short Term Rental Secrets, plus among other things. Um, thanks for joining, Michael.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Yeah, yeah. So it's great to meet you. And yeah, we just wanted to pick your brain here a little bit, get some knowledge from you. You've grown a successful business here. Come from a unique background from accounting, CPA. But yeah, I guess let's start with that. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you ended up on this path you're on now.
All right, yeah, man, let's do it. So, it's funny. I did every I did what they told me to do growing up, right? Like I went to school, I got good grades, I played sports, I got a quote unquote good job as an accountant coming out of school. I went back, I got my MBA, I got my CPA license, all this stuff, and things were going pretty good for a little while. I got married, had a house in the burbs, a couple cars in the driveway. Things were good. And then everything changed when my first son was born. It's back in 2016, so 10 years ago. He was born with a very rare lung disease called interstitial lung disease. So just picture this if you're a parent. We had been home from the hospital maybe 2 weeks after he was born. We were getting up this morning to take him to his newborn photo shoot. I know you guys are parents, you know what I'm talking about. You got 15 outfits laid out. It's this fun
Yeah.
day. And I go into his nursery to take him out of his crib and get him dressed. And he was not a very good sleeper. And it was very weird because he was knocked out. Like he was totally passed out. And so I took him out of the crib, start tapping him on the butt a little bit. He's not waking up. I'm like, man, I wish he would sleep like this all the time. And then my wife comes in, takes one look at him, and she goes, call 911, something's wrong. Mom always knows. And so I call 911. They're like, what's your emergency? I'm like, I can't wake my son up. I can feel him breathing a little bit, but he won't wake up. And when I took a closer look at him, he was super pale. His lips were a little blue. And so they're like, get him in the car right now. We're going to have you meet up with an ambulance on Route 1 on the way to Boston. And so now I'm in full panic mode. So I'm running downstairs. I get him in the car. I'm doing 90 miles an hour down the highway to meet up with this ambulance. And fortunately, they got him in the ambulance. They revived him, got him on oxygen, all this stuff. And it kicked off this 2 year run of spending weeks and months at a time at Boston Children's Hospital trying to figure out what was going on with my son. And uh, the probably the lowest point in my life and the greatest gift I ever got was we had been there about a month, and all the doctors are coming in one morning and they're giving us their daily prognosis, what they're going to be doing today. And I have no idea what they said. The only thing I could think of was I've, I've, I'm out of vacation time. I'm out of sick time. I have a mountain of hospital bills piling up, and I got to leave my wife and my baby in this hospital to go back to a cubicle and trade time for money. And I was just so pissed at myself for putting my family in that situation. And I told my wife that day when I left, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to find a way to build us a business that gives us the income we want without ever trading time for money again. And I knew real estate was going to be the vehicle for me. I thought it was going to be multifamily syndications because I was going to some local real estate meetups. I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad, all those different books. And I hired a mentor. I went to a bunch of boot camps, and I gave it a go. I started talking to investors, putting out offers on all these properties. And after over a year of no success in that venue, I was like, man, like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do here. I was working 60 hours a week as an accountant. I was side hustling on the weekends as a real estate photographer to like pay the medical bills while I'm trying to build this thing. And then I met a guy at a mastermind event I went to who was doing Airbnbs. And this was back before Airbnb was a big thing. I had never even stayed in an Airbnb before. And he was telling me that he was making anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 a month on these properties that he didn't even own. And it's at the time, I was like, I don't even know if this is legal. He was essentially renting apartments, furnishing them, and re-renting them on Airbnb. He wasn't telling the landlords what he was doing, and to me, it just felt a little shady. But he was making money doing it, and so I told my wife, I said, "This Airbnb thing, I think it's going to be our ticket. I don't like what this guy's doing, but I've been putting money in our 401k. Like I could take a loan against the 401k, get some 0% interest credit cards, and let's just go try and take down one of these things." So we bought a little 2-bedroom condo up in the mountains in New Hampshire. I renovated it on the weekends with my dad and launched it. And just like this guy said, it was cash flowing about $1,500 a month. And it was like, this is the coolest business ever. I get paid to own a vacation home. But at that point, I am broker than broke. I have no cash. And I can't live off of $1,500 a month. I needed to get to 15 grand to get me and my wife out. And so I started thinking about all the multifamily syndication stuff that I was looking at. I'm like, man, all these guys are buying these apartments and ladies, and they're cash flowing $200-300 a month. I'm like, man, if I could just run this playbook for them, I'll do everything. I will make them way more money than if they just rent it long term. And so I started cold DMing and reaching out to people on Craigslist and Zillow and Facebook Marketplace and all these different places, like trying to pitch this management service to folks. And I'm a CPA by trade. 10 years ago, I did not know how to sell. I didn't know really how to talk to people. I was lights out with a spreadsheet, but I sucked with sales.
Yeah.
So it took me 9 months to get my first co-host, is what they call it, my first management client. But within 3 months after that, I had 5 across 3 different states. And so it took off really quick. And before I knew it, we had 15 properties I was running across 5 different states. I had an opportunity to partner with a couple folks on a boutique hotel, and I put my notice in. I got my wife out of her job, and it was a pretty wild 2-year run. Now we've got 3 boutique hotels, a couple single-family homes. We still manage a small portfolio, and I've helped coach thousands of people now over the last 7-8 years on really how do you engineer a freedom path to get out of a W-2. And everybody has a skill set. Mine was not sales, but what I was really good at was systems, process, and people, because that was my background in accounting. I was going in and auditing and helping these companies do things more efficiently. And so I got really good at scale and systems. And now I don't even know how many doors we got. We're well over 100 doors across a few different states. And so, if you're in the thick of it right now, I know it sucks, but I'm telling you, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and it'll all work out, man.
Yeah, I mean that's one hell of a story. I mean, it seems like there's always something like it's a necessity that triggers like this next step in your life. This opens up this next chapter, and it's not always the greatest thing, right? But
Yeah, man,
it's
pain is the best motivator, unfortunately.
yeah, it really is. Yeah, well, hopefully, I mean,
He's doing
it
great
just
now.
yeah, I was gonna say, hopefully he's doing great.
He ended up snapping out of it a few years later.
That's good.
Story for another day, but totally
Yeah,
honestly, one day he just didn't need oxygen anymore, and now he's a perfectly healthy
that's incredible. Yeah,
in sports and everything
I
else.
mean, I have a 1.5-year-old, and I can't imagine walking into something like that. It would scare the hell out of me. Um, but I get it, and I mean, a lot of people that I work with too. It's just they feel they're within this trap of that W-2. Again, you're trading your time for money, and that's what you are doing. I mean, that's the deal that is being made. Um, and I mean, clearly you took an approach here so you can free yourself up to be there for your family. Um, so obviously you have this real diverse background, right? And I always think this too. It's like you either know the process and all this stuff, don't necessarily know the sales, or you have the sales but you don't know you see so many people one or the other, and balancing that. So with that, I mean, how would you say what were some of the struggles and things that you had to learn, and how did you go about overcoming those challenges as you were scaling and growing your business?
Yeah, so again, I was good with the systems and process. The sales side, I knew I needed to get the word out there. So I started doing
Hmm.
as much as I could. Like I said, I did a lot of cold outreach, cold calling, cold emailing. I started hosting a local real estate meetup. Um, Fun story on that. The first 2 meetups I hosted, there was maybe 5 people. The third and fourth one, there was 0 people, like not a single person showed up. And then the 5th one, I had 6 people, and I got my first client from that meetup. And so after 2 months of nobody showing up, the next one I got my first client. But one of the things that I started doing is I joined Toastmasters, which is basically teaches you how to do public speaking. So every single week I was public speaking in Toastmasters, and I joined a BNI group, which is the same thing. Like it's a group of business professionals. Every single week, you get to give a 60-second pitch about your business. Every 10 or so weeks, you give like a full 10 to 20-minute presentation about your business. And I just started devouring anything I could around sales, marketing, public speaking, and just, again, I was enough pain. I would have eaten glass to get out of that job. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
most of us have this fear of rejection or criticism.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't give a shit. I was like, I don't care. You can slam the door in my face. You can tell me to kick rocks. I am not stopping until I hit this target, period.
Yeah.
And you just unlock a different gear when you want something that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Our biggest challenge for most of us, living in this country is we're comfortable. It's like a nice to have,
Yeah.
but it's not a must. When it becomes a must, everything changes. And you're not asking how long is this going to take. You're just like, I am doing this until I get the result, period.
Yeah.
The thing that shifts, though, is once you actually start gaining momentum on this thing, the trap that most people get sucked into, and if you read books like The E-Myth Revisited or any of these books around business, they end up becoming what I call like the player or the solopreneur, where you're the one on the field, you're literally doing everything, and now you're a business owner, but really you're just self-employed and you're working 24/7 with no time off and no vacation. Like that sucks just as much. You might be making
Mm-hmm.
more money, but you cannot turn this thing off. And that's how a lot of agents are, if I'm being
Yeah.
totally honest.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
they
Yeah.
get caught in that trap, right? So the key is figuring out, okay, how do I build a machine and how do I go from the player to the coach to the owner of the business? You're in the same game, but you're playing three different games, right? I'm a big
Mm-hmm.
Celtics fan. It's like Jason Tatum makes a lot of money. Joe Mazzulla, the coach, makes a lot of money. Bill Grisham, that owns it, makes a lot of money, right? And he doesn't know the X's and O's, but he's playing a very different game. He's getting the right players and the right coaches on the field so that they win.
Mm-hmm.
So very different game. So how do you go from the player to the coach to the owner? I've built quite a few businesses now over the last 10 years. I use this acronym called CASPER. So the first step is clarity. Where are you going? What is your actual objective with this business? Is it a monthly income target? What do you want to do? Like, why are you building this thing? Most people just jump into it because they're seeing all this motivational stuff on their phone, on YouTube.
Yeah. The
Being an entrepreneur.
TikTok saying, "Oh, I make $10,000 doing this."
Yeah, and it's like, I'll get into that in a second. But if you don't know where you're going, you're just going to stay busy all the time. You're just going to be running around staying busy all the time. So once you're clear about what the outcome is from this business, the next piece is you need acquisitions. You need clients. You need new business. So you need a repeatable, predictable process to generate new leads and convert those leads into paying customers. Once you have paying customers, then you need systems and process to fulfill on those customers. Again, repeatable, systematic, and as much as possible, automated processes. Once you get those dialed in and you continue to grow, at a certain point, you're going to need human beings to run those systems and processes, to run the machine for you. So then you focus on your people, which is hiring, onboarding, training, leadership development. Once you have those people, okay, cool. You have like stage one where now you have a bunch of people working for you. They're coming to you with different questions all the time. The tighter you're onboarding, the less questions they have. The more you pour into them, the higher return you're going to get. But then what I found is you really start to get some freedom at the next phase where you elevate out of the operations. And that's when you hire some like middle level management, like operations manager, sales manager, marketing manager, when you can lift yourself out of the day to day and focus on the business instead
Yeah.
of being in the business. Right? And then the last step is to reassess. So like, okay, we've gotten to this point. I've got some time freedom. I've got some good income. Now what do I want to do? Do I want to keep growing it? Do I want to sell it? Like what do I want to do? Do I want to bring on a CEO to keep driving this thing so I can focus on something else? But if you just remember CASPER, clarity, acquisitions, systems, people, elevate, reassess. I don't care what industry you're in, it's the same process all the way through.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I mean, you've been now in the sort of short-term rental sort of space and now boutique hotels and all that. I want to shift more towards that short-term rental. What major shifts are you seeing in that space right now? Because I feel like I've seen some changes there. Um, and then also concerning like you've mentioned like trying to automate, right? So what sort of automations are you seeing in helping to scale that business?
Yeah, and I brought this up in 2020 when COVID hit. People are like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" I said, "What's going to happen is it's going to professionalize this industry a lot faster." So in 2020, end of 2020 through 2022, there was so much pent up demand that you could have put a porta potty on Airbnb and made money. Like it was insane, right? Now what's happened is like supply and demand have like leveled off. People still want to stay at properties. The problem is you actually have to know what you're doing in order to make money with it. Your standard 2-bedroom house that's super vanilla that doesn't stand out is not going to make the same kind of money that it made 2 years ago. And if you're not going to, just like any field, right? Like we were talking offline about working with a lot of real estate agents and brokers. Like if you're not going to commit to mastering your craft, don't even get in because you're going to get smoked by all the folks that I've been trained in the last 5 years that are professional managers, professional operators that understand dynamic pricing, they understand marketing, they understand listing optimization, they understand guest communication and guest experience. Like if you're not doing all of those things, it's not even worth getting in because it is a
Mhm.
lot harder now. You have to actually know what you're doing. And the other thing that most people don't talk about is all of the big money from private equity is starting to come in and gobble up a lot of these smaller operators, consolidate them into a private equity roll up, professionalize them, and then sell them. So, like, the industry is starting to get, it's weeding out the amateur operators and it's professionalizing everybody else. And there's a lot bigger game at play right now, which is what I've been working on, is playing more in the private equity space, of taking some of our top students that are thinking about exiting, and it's like, okay, let's go on a 3-year run and combine you with some other portfolios in the community, and let's do a $200 million exit to private equity in 3 years. Because that's what's happening right now. Because our margins are
Mhm.
really good. It's a very fragmented industry with the way that people are operating. And so PE comes
Mhm.
in and standardizes operations, drives efficiency, and then sells it to some life insurance company for $500 million. Like
Yeah.
that's the game that's happening right now. And so again, when you're looking at things from the player lens versus the coach lens versus the owner lens, when you're the player on the field, you're like, oh, how do I push the buttons in my revenue management software? When you're the coach lens, you're like, all right, how do I train these people up, or who else do I need on my team to drive this revenue management? When you're in the owner lens, you're like, all right, what markets do I need exposure to? What companies can I acquire? How do I get to this EBITDA so I can get to this evaluation? It's the same industry, you're just playing a very different game. And so it's just, to answer your question, it has gotten more professionalized. The standards have continued to raise, and just running vanilla properties is not going to get the job done anymore, and you're not going to make the kind of money that you want to make.
Mhm. With so right now AI is obviously it's all over the news, right? It's like the hot word for the year pretty much. How have you seen that impacting your business, this business? What do you think moves that people need to make are? Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, how do you see this impacting what you're doing?
So in our lane, in hospitality in general, a couple things that I'll say. So yes, we use AI. There's a lot of different tools now that can help automate a lot of the communication. Uh, Even on the back end side with like the teams and onboarding, we have uh, a custom software built out that all of our SOPs in there. So like the team can go in and ask the AI agent, like, hey, the water heater just went out at this property. What should I do? And it'll respond back with, okay, here's the make, model, serial number. Here's our point of contact for water heaters there. Here's his phone number. Call this person and have them go fix this water heater. Right. So it's automatic spitting that information back to them, which is great, right? You want to
Yeah.
automate as much of the back end stuff as possible. But what I will say is, if you look at the cream of the crop in our niche for like hospitality, you look at like a Four Seasons or a Ritz. Yes, they'll leverage AI for a lot of pricing and back end stuff. But what makes a Four Seasons a Four Season and what makes a Ritz is the level of hospitality and human care that goes into a stay. If you want to command premium rates, right, like this picture on the wall behind me, we're kicking off a new ground up development right on the beach in the Outer Banks. To get those premium rates, I'm not automating this thing so that there's nobody there.
Yeah.
I want great people there that are purely focused on delivering an amazing personalized experience for every guest. Like if we know that they're coming for an anniversary, perfect. Maybe we can hook them up with a private cabana over here, and we can send them up a bottle of wine and some rose petals. Like the key to hospitality is like the human side of it, the experience side. Everybody wants to feel important. Everybody wants to feel taken care of. Everybody wants to feel like they matter. So if you automate everything, yes, you may drive up profits in the short term, but in the long run, you will lose because you're still in a hospitality business.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think you've alluded to that as well, where like it's becoming more professional too, as of 2020, and especially in this specific industry. That's what's expected at those higher levels or higher tiers. I think that plays into that. I'm sorry, I cut you
I'll share
off.
no, you're good. I'll share one other quick thing that I learned when I started that photography business back in 2014. And again, I just started it because I saw one of my best friends started a website building company for small businesses, and he was making like $5 to $10 grand a month on the side while he was working full time. I was like, "This is sick! Like, I want a side hustle. I want a business." So I bought some camera gear and I started taking pictures. And I have this saying, it's called "find the spread." Right. So if I was taking pictures for a real estate agent, and say that agent's commission was going to be $20,000. There's only so much money they can pay me for those photos because it's coming out of their profit. But if I go take pictures for a developer or a property management company that just built a $200 million apartment complex, they'll pay me $2,000 to $3,000 for less photos that are curated and taken a certain way than a real estate agent that might send me $200 for 100 random photos of the property. It's the same thing anywhere. If you're gonna be an agent, why not go for the top of the market? It's the same amount of work. If you're gonna host on Airbnb, why not go for the big properties? I'll let you in on a secret. The people that pay the least complain the most. So that's what I'm talking about with that clarity step of like, who do you want to serve and where is that spread? If somebody's property can make 500 grand a year in top line revenue and you're charging 20%, okay, you need one property to make 100 grand. Or if you're going after properties that make 50 grand, you're going to need 10 of those. So like find the spread and serve people at a higher level. They will pay you a premium.
Yeah.
They'll pay you a premium. You follow anybody online like Hormozy or any of these guys, it's like, find what wealthy people need and just sell that to them. Like, find that spread.
So let me pivot a little bit again here for you. I mean, considering your whole extensive portfolio, mentorship program, what what's working? What would you say is working for you exceptionally well right now with your approach? And what aspects of managing or scaling of your operations have been like the most frustrating part of it as well?
It's one and the same. It's people. So again, as you scale, it's all about playing chess. Like you're getting the right pieces on the board in the right seats. When you shift your focus from how do I do this to who do I need to do this, you're playing a very different game, right? And so what I would recommend if anybody's like stuck in the weeds right now, I'll get you a link. You can share it with them if you want. I recommend everybody do this. It's just a 2-week time study. I've been doing this for years, right? And somebody recommended this to me probably 10 years ago. And all it is a simple Google sheet, in 15-minute increments for 7 days. You print out 2 copies, print it out, and you're going to use a physical pen to write on this thing. And every 15 minutes, you set a timer on your phone, and you're going to write down what you're doing. Whether it's work, personal, doom scrolling, I don't care. What this is going to do is show you exactly where your time is going. Then you're going to take that list and look at all of the things that are actual revenue generating in your business, and then everything else that isn't. And look at the tasks that you can outsource for 25% of what your hourly rate is or less. And you're going to put a job description together. And then that's going to become your first assistant or whoever you need on your team to take this crap off your plate so you can figure out the highest dollar productive activities going forward. But you got to start getting stuff off your plate. And at the beginning, I know it's hard because it's just you and there's not enough revenue. So you got to eat that frog for a little bit so that you can reinvest back into the business. But when you get the right people in the right seats, your life gets a lot easier, right? The challenge as you continue to scale is sometimes you have to make changes. Sometimes you have to restructure. Sometimes that person that was great a year ago isn't so great anymore and they've lost interest. Like, how quickly can you make those hard decisions to either move that person to another position or let them go? But the longer you wait, the more it sucks down on the business, the more it impacts everybody else. So your people are your greatest asset. Even in the real estate business, it's not the real estate that has the highest ROI. At the beginning, it's investing in your skills so that you become more valuable to the marketplace. Then it's investing in your people, because the people that you invest in have an infinite return. A deal like this might make 20% cash on cash. Great. If I invest in the right person, I'm going to make 500x on that person in the first year. So like looking at people as a true asset instead of, oh, I just got to hire some person. I need a body in here to help me with stuff. If you looked at it like a piece of real estate, it's like, hey, I'm going to have to invest time and resources into this thing in order to get a return. Look at your people the same way. I got to invest time and money into training and onboarding this person, and I'm going to get a return. That was the biggest lesson I learned. I'd have amazing SOPs. I'd have a great playbook for everything. I'd hire somebody. I'm like, here you go. Here's the playbook. Watch some of my Zoom calls. That's a shitty onboarding experience. Nobody wants to work at a company like that. You're just setting them up for failure. So investing in your people is by far the highest ROI once you get to scale.
Yeah. And I can see it. I mean, I feel like that boils down everywhere too. It's the people that you have and that you surround yourself with. Um, and you've already illustrated that too, constantly learning and investing in yourself, because I mean, you're a person in your own industry too. Trying to learn.
Legitimately on personal development in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. And I mean, it shows in what you've been doing and how you've grown your businesses and where you've been, and what you or just want to accomplish. I think also just having the discipline to do it. It seems like that's always a lot of difficulty. I think a lot of people struggle with to overcome.
There though, when it comes to discipline, right? Like if we look at 2 extreme examples, right? You have like David Goggins is like the definition of discipline. He just trains himself to do hard shit all the time, just to do hard shit.
Yeah.
Then you look at someone like Tony Robbins. He's doing that because he is driven by a goal, like a burning desire to help people. The key distinction is like when people set a goal at the beginning of the year to lose 15 pounds, that first week, they have a strong desire to do that. Over time, they start to lose that desire, and then the discipline falls off. But if you actually really want something, like Carl, what do you like to do? Like, do you like to golf? Do you like to ski? What do you like?
I like playing ice hockey. I'm an ice hockey guy.
Right? So like, is it hard for you to go play hockey, assuming you made time for it, 3 times a week? Would that be hard for you?
Not at all. I would,
because you
a
have
heartbeat.
A desire to play hockey, right? If you have a desire to make X amount of money or to build this business or whatever, like you don't need discipline. You just want to do it because you know it's getting you closer to that result. Right? Like that's the missing piece. And that's why I'm saying The first step is clarity, because if you don't know exactly what you want and why you want it, when you start to get into the business, it's called the psychology of change. Stage one is an uninformed optimism. Like, this is a new opportunity. This is going to be amazing. It's going to be sunshine and rainbows. It's going to change my life. Then you start doing that thing and you're not getting results. Then you're in informed pessimism. You're like, shit, this is way harder than I thought. And it keeps getting harder till you hit stage 3, this valley of despair. And this is where most people quit. This is that 9 months of me not getting a management client. Most people quit there unless you have a burning desire, you stick with it, and then eventually you get a little win, and then another win, and then another win. And then you're in informed optimism. You're like, okay, this does work. It was just harder than I thought, and I had to keep testing and trying stuff in order to figure it out. And then you get whatever your goal is. But if you don't want it bad enough, it's like, to have discipline just to have discipline is pointless. It's like, why? It's like, oh, okay, that's a great Stoic philosophy, but like, what's the point? Otherwise, you're just like doing hard stuff just to do hard stuff to prove that you're the man or the woman. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
It's ego crap. Like, what do you actually want? And then go after that thing because you actually want it.
Yeah. I think that goes back to the question that everyone's, it's like, what's your why, right? What's driving you? Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I think that's a great point that you just made there. And it gets me fired up here. I mean, we're speaking in the morning. I'm ready to start working today. That's great. I guess we'll start wrapping up here. Any other knowledge, anything you'd like to share with our general audience that maybe we haven't covered here so far?
The best advice that I would give everybody is give yourself the gift of some time to actually reflect on what you actually want. Not what you think you should want, not what your spouse thinks you should want, or your parents or whoever. Like, what do you actually want? Because we're in this world of, social media, and everybody's comparing themselves to all these people. You don't need to make $100 million to be special or to be fulfilled. Like, it's an illusion. I promise you, the more money you make, it just gives you more opportunity to focus on the things that you want to do and to give back in the ways that you want to give back. But you may just need to make 5 or 10 grand a month because of XYZ reason. Okay, cool. Just do that then. Stop comparing yourself to everybody else, but get clear about, if you could design your life any way that you wanted, and I had a magic wand, I was the genie in the bottle, what would you want your perfect week to look like? Because at the end of our life, it's really an accumulation of our average weeks. So like, yes, you'll have the bucket list trips and the vacations here and there, but like, the vast majority of your life is going to be, what does your typical Sunday to Saturday look like on a regular basis? So like, one of the concepts that we teach all the time is architecting your perfect week. If you had to live the same week every single week for the rest of your life, what would that perfect week look like for you? How much is allocated to mission and work and impact? How much is allocated to family? How much is allocated to health? How much is allocated to contribution? Like, what does that perfect week look like for you? And then just start moving towards that. Figure out, how much does it cost to actually live that lifestyle? It probably doesn't cost as much as you think. It really doesn't. But until you actually do that work, write it down, figure out how much it costs, it's just a pie in the sky goal. And you have no idea if you're moving towards it or not, because you don't know what it actually looks like and what it costs. I promise you, if you do that, you figure out what you want your life to look like, how much that lifestyle would cost, you can start measuring your progress towards that thing. And you can have it. You can have whatever the hell you want. You just got to get clear about whatever that thing is. And then just go for it. I'll share one last thing that's a bit personal, but it's given me great perspective over the last 5 months. So, had a bunch of challenges in the business. It's never going to be sunshine and rainbows. We had a fire at one of our hotels, lost one of the buildings that we just finished like 6 months ago, right? It's an annoyance. It's a financial annoyance. At the same time, I've been watching my grandfather battle cancer, and it's not going great. I've also been watching my father-in-law, who lives with me, go through cancer treatment right now, and it's brutal. And everything, it just gives you so much perspective on what you think is hard right now. Like, that is hard. business, all this pressure you put on yourself, it's an illusion. When I was cleaning out my grandfather's house with my dad when he was coming home from the hospital, I found this plaque from World War I where my great grandfather, I had to put it in ChatGPT because it was all in French. I couldn't read it.
Yeah.
It was a plaque from a battle in 1922, something like that, where my great grandfather got shot in the head and they pulled the bullet out on the battlefield with no anesthesia, and he survived, and they pushed the Germans back, and it was like a huge pivotal battle in World War I. I have that hanging in my office next to a portrait of my kids. And I use that for perspective of like, who am I doing this for and what's really important? And what am I actually afraid of? Because that is a reason to be afraid when somebody is shooting at you in the face. All the stuff that you're afraid of right now is an illusion. Even if you started your business and it all went to hell, you would find some other way to make the income that you need to provide for your family, even if you had to take a step back, rent an apartment, whatever. You're not going to die. There's a big difference between uncomfortable and unsafe. And when you learn to take a step back and look at those two perspectives and realize that you're just uncomfortable on the way to your bigger goal, you'll move faster instead of feeling paralyzed that, oh, this is scary. It's not scary. Nobody's shooting at you right now. You just need to move toward whatever the hell it is that you want and just go for it. Because the number one regret of the dying, if you've never read that book, it's great. Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. The number one regret is I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, meaning I wish I just went for it instead of just trying to stay safe all the time. Just go for it.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Michael. There's some awesome insights. I mean, if I had any key takeaways from this, it's like understand your desire, and yeah, I mean, take that step. Don't be scared. Put everything in perspective, and what with the approaches you're taking, and what you want to pursue. Right? Do what you love. Right? You got to love what you do. That's I think an important takeaway I just took away from that as well. Um, but yeah, incredible insights. I'm gonna clip a few of these out. There's some great little tidbits in everything that you said there. And that's going to wrap up here another episode here of the team playbook for us. All right. How can some of our viewers, listeners, find you if they wanted to reach out, maybe inquire about some of your services?
Yeah, one thing I'd encourage everybody, you go to strsecrets.com/book. And it's just a link to a video that my COO put together on this whole process of like, how do you scale? And again, whether you're in short-term rentals or not, it will give you good perspective on this process that we talked a bit about today. And I think you'll get some value out of it. Whether you wanted to work with us or even get into STRs, I think it would help you for perspective on like looking at how you scale and like the constraints along that journey. And then the second way is to just follow me on Instagram. It's mike.sjogren. It's SJOGREN. We put a ton of content on there. We have the Short-Term Rental Secrets podcast that we've been doing for a long time. We've got a free Facebook group that we do live trainings in there every single week, facebook.com/STRsecrets. And I've got a new podcast coming out that I'm really excited about called What I Wish I Learned in School. A lot of the topics that we covered today.
That's great. I love that. All right. Well, thanks again, Michael. And that's going to wrap up another episode here.